Welcome back to Israel First. We're here to take a look at some of the news that's going on in Israel and, of course, our good friends, the Americans, up to their shenanigans once again. So let's just jump right in and take a look at what we have here. This is really an amazing report. Cleared for publication, Israel's plan to topple the Iranian regime was not carried out, which we know. Mossad was set to make moves to trigger Iranian protests. Kurdish invasion was part of the plan, but Trump decided to stop it hours before launch time. Of course, Donald Trump and the Americans running in to save the regime. Iran is totally on the brink, teetering off the edge, basically. Their economy's worse than ever. Things are worse than ever. And let's just take a look. The Americans, huh? I can't believe it. Yeah, me neither. We can't believe it. Of course. What else is new? Let's take a look at our friend Marco Rubio, who, mind you, this is the big-time pro-Israel American. Marco Rubio. Amazing. Let's listen. It's a very short clip, 10 seconds. So let's play this.
Well, it's a very unique ceasefire because Lebanon and Israel are not at war. Israel's problem is with Hezbollah. Unfortunately, Hezbollah happens to be inside of Lebanon and conducting attacks against Israel. Well, it's a
What? Israel and Lebanon are not at war? Is that what he said?
very unique ceasefire because Lebanon and Israel are not at war.
Fascinating. Fascinating. Israel and Lebanon are not at war. For decades, missiles and drones have been flying into Israel from Lebanon. For decades. We had UNIFIL soldiers there. Israel has invaded southern Lebanon. I don't know how many multiples of times, many times before. So this has been going on for decades. The Lebanese government not only has done nothing to stop Hezbollah, they work with Hezbollah, hand in hand. Israel's not at war with Lebanon. How would little Marco Rubio be able to ascertain that all the way from the United States? How did he come to this conclusion exactly? Israel and Lebanon are not at war. But he said Hezbollah just happens to be in Lebanon. Oh, well, exactly. So then no countries are ever at war with each other then. That's what Marco was saying, basically, right? The IRGC just happens to be in Iran, right? So we're not at war with Iran. We're not at war with Gaza. Israel's actually not at war with anybody. Well, thank you for clearing that up, little Marco. Amazing. This is so idiotic and just so typical from the Americans. Israel's not at war with Lebanon. How did you come to this conclusion exactly? Is that an order that you're giving us? Or did we tell you that? Marco got that from the Israelis? Is that where he got this from? Unfortunately, and look at how this is from the Department of State, by the way, Twitter account. Notice that. They spell it H-I-Z, Hezbollah. What is that? Did they get their Arabic interns to give them? Oh, no. We don't spell it Hezbollah. That's an American way. Who's running the State Department at this point? Who's running the State Department? Hezbollah? Americans, English speakers don't write it that way. So one really has to start asking some questions about what's actually going on at the State Department. Marco Rubio's State Department, might I add. The big-time Zionist Marco Rubio. Oh, yeah. Uh-huh. Sure. Let's take a look at this. This is hysterical. Donald Trump. Oh, my God. On some level, I actually feel bad for the Americans. Look at this guy. What a clown. No more Mr. Nice Guy. Wow, look at this. Wow, look at this tough AI image. It's so embarrassing. This is like stuff that the Arabs post. Yeah, look at us. We're tough with our aviator sunglasses and rifle. I mean, this is so embarrassing. My God. Warning Iran. Oh, no more Mr. Nice Guy. Oh, you don't want to see me mad. This is pathetic. This is really amazing. And what is he threatening? You better sign my deal. You better sign my deal or I'm going to get mad at you. Pathetic. The Iranians have to be laughing, just completely on the floor, rolling in laughter at Donald Trump and the Americans. This is so pathetic. They don't know how to sign a non-nuclear deal. Oh my God. They can't get their act. They don't know how. No. Listen, you fat orange dummy. They know how. They don't take you seriously. Donald Trump, no one takes you seriously. You are a fat orange clown, okay? They better get smart soon. Oh, wow. This guy makes Obama look tough. Oh, yo, my God. Oh, boy. They're squeezing Iran's economy. Is there any evidence that Iran's economy is being squeezed? Is there any evidence of this besides for just ridiculous reports coming out of Fox News? Iran doesn't seem to care at all. If Iran's economy was being hurt so badly, would Iran just basically be stonewalling the Americans like this? Does anyone really believe that? This is so pathetic. Yeah, so it's just more embarrassment coming from the Americans. Who would even want to be allied with these people anymore? It's just pathetic. No one takes them seriously. No one is scared of them. Oh, and there's another story before I forget. There's a very, very interesting story that is very much related to the Americans. Let's see. Let's just pull this up here. Our friends at Reuters. Let's see. Now, one second. Hold on, let's pull this over. UAE leaves OPEC in blow to global oil producers group. Now, this does hurt the Gulf countries, which is good for Israel. So I'm happy with this news. But this is bad for the Americans because this is going to be the beginning of the end for the petrodollar. To me, this is directly related to Donald Trump and his ridiculous ceasefire peace fiasco in Iran. That's what this is. This is the UAE going their own way and basically saying, we're just going out to the free market. Right? Before, OPEC had a deal with the United States. Petrodollar, all this stuff. Now the UAE is saying, we don't care. We don't care. It's a sign that America's influence is waning in the region. America has lost the Gulf. That's really what this says. The Gulf was united, working with this petrodollar arrangement, which is, as I've said previously, I wouldn't say single-handedly, but very much so propping up an extremely weak US dollar. So this is terrible news for the United States. Absolutely terrible news. Great news for Israel. So I'm happy. I think this is terrific. And I'll tell you, I think also that this is a move for the UAE towards Israel. That's what this looks like to me. Because the Gulf has worked as a cartel. That's what OPEC is really, right? And their position was largely anti-Israel, certainly led by Saudi Arabia, which I believe is like the biggest OPEC partner in that whole cartel. Now the UAE going its own way, I believe it really opens up a much bigger corridor for relations directly with Israel. Bad for the Abraham Accords, bad for America, good for Israel. So this is an excellent story. We like to see good stories and good news. This is good. But this basically just highlights the weakening of the United States and its influence in the Gulf. You could see it right here. The United Arab Emirates on Tuesday said it was quitting OPEC, dealing a blow to the oil producers group as an unprecedented energy crisis caused by the Iran war. And understand, it's not simply the Iran war. It's that the United States has effectively left the Gulf unprotected against Iran. To me, that's what this is. I've mentioned privately to others that the move now is for Israel to sign a strategic defense treaty with the UAE. America refuses and cannot protect the UAE from Iran. Israel should immediately jump on this opportunity. But that's my 2 cents on the matter. So let's take a look at the next story. So we had Donald Trump clowning himself. Okay, now let's get into this, something much more serious. IDF soldiers report inadequate protection against explosive drones in Lebanon as the primary battlefield threat remains partially addressed. Troops describe feeling exposed to aerial attacks with field protocols mismatched to combat reality. So again, this is the cost of the Americans and their demand for restraint, for their idiotic assertions like Israel's not really at war with Lebanon. And why would America make that statement? Why would little Marco make that statement? To say, no, Israel can't just bomb Beirut like we would do against any country that we're at war with. We would bomb their major city like we're doing against Tehran, for instance. And it's working, by the way. But we can't do that against Lebanon. That's off the table because little Marco said we're not at war with Lebanon. So what does that necessitate? That necessitates sending soldiers into the field, practically exposed to drones and anti-tank missiles and all the rest. So we are paying with Jewish blood for the idiotic assertions and demands of the Americans. That's what this is. So this is a major problem, obviously. Now, does our Israel Last Knesset acknowledge this? Are they aware of this situation? Don't hold your breath. The answer is no. Danny Luz. Okay. Danny Luz, Likud Knesset member. Explosive warning. Oh my God. It's guys, this is very explosive. No pun intended. Israel's reaching a breaking point. Ooh. Without Haredi participation. Oh, the Haredim. Now, guys, now we are zeroing in on the big problem in Israel. Without Haredi participation in the military and economy, Israel's status as the startup nation is under existential threat. From the struggle for the soul of the Likud party to the battle to replace UNRWA, what does UNRWA do? What does UNRWA do? Let's take this from the top. What is it that UNRWA does? UNRWA is responsible for feeding and giving money to Palestinians and Gazan refugees, right? Why should we replace that for? Why is it in our interest to replace UNRWA? Why don't we just get rid of it and tell the parasitical Palestinians and Gazans, if you can't make a living, maybe it's time for you to go somewhere else where you can make a living instead of staying here forever. But this idiot wants to replace UNRWA. That's wonderful. Great. Thank you, Danny Luz. To Iran and the Abraham Accords. Oh, the Abraham Accords. Genius. Another cancerous proposal from the United States. This is a candid look. Oh, I can't wait to see this candid look. Let's take a look at this. Mind you, we have 120 parliamentarians in Israel's Knesset. This is one of them. Now, you tell me if this is one of the 120 most qualified people to be in our legislative body. Okay, let's take a look at, with all of the problems that we discuss here at Israel First, let's take a look at what this genius has zeroed in on.
We're looking at the Haredi sector, they're growing much more, exponentially more than the secular and religious Zionist sectors. With this demographic reality in front of us, we need to understand that if they do not take part in military service and also if they do not take part in the economic sector, then Israel won't be able to be the same state economically. We won't be the startup nation.
So he's concerned about, we'll take it one at a time. He's concerned about the military. What did we just say about the military? What did we just say? IDF soldiers are exposed out in the field. They basically report they don't have adequate cover from these drone attacks. Now, this guy, who looks like he's 14 years old, claims that without the Haredim joining, we're going to have a problem with the military. We have a problem right now. Is Daniel Luz concerned that we're sending soldiers out exposed into the field with no real cover at all because the Americans demanded it? No. All Daniel Luz wants, I mean, think about this. What Daniel Luz wants is more soldiers to be going out into the field to be exposed. That's what he wants. That's what this guy wants here. Does that seem like an answer to anybody? Daniel Luz wants that in his let's say it like this, his priority is to keep the Americans happy. That's his priority. Because, as I said, Israel is flying gigantically long missions to Iran. Super long missions to Iran. I don't even know how far the distance is. It's very far. And they're flying fighter jets. They're dropping bombs. And Iran's a real country. Iran has real air defenses. Lebanon has nothing. Lebanon has nothing. And Lebanon is so close to it. I mean, we're right on the border. And Lebanon is a tiny country. Lebanon might even be smaller than Israel. So we could fly fighter jets into Lebanon and blow that country to hell. Easily. Easily. And we would be able, he's concerned that we don't have enough soldiers. We would be able to save tons of soldiers by doing this. But Daniel Luz doesn't propose that. And why doesn't Daniel Luz propose that? Because he says, well, if America wants it, we have to do it. He is not putting Israel first. And notice, this is what happens when you don't put Israel first. You have to find someone else to blame. He cannot blame the Americans, so now he picks a different segment of the Israeli population to blame. But notice this. Think about this. I don't know if I have this graphic with me, so we'll just talk it out for now. Israel is the only Western country, the only developed country, let's say, that is not facing a demographic crisis. Only Israel. Every other country is facing a demographic crisis, except for Israel. And why? Who should we thank for saving Israel from a demographic crisis? You guessed it, the Haredim. The ones that this idiot says are apparently a problem for the country, they're actually saving the country demographically. And as we've seen in all of the Western countries, every single one of those countries, the biggest problem they face is demographics. Not us. America's facing this problem drastically. The share of we call them Native Americans, but it's true, right? Of the original European population that founded and built America is disappearing. We don't have that problem here in Israel. Does Daniel Luz say thank you? No. Not only does he not say thank you, he goes out there and blames them for the hundreds of IDF soldiers that were sacrificed in Gaza and the thousands of IDF soldiers that were injured in Gaza only to please the Americans. And now we're starting to see the same thing in Lebanon. But Dan Iluz can't call them out. So he must blame someone else. Every Israel Last mafia member like Dan Iluz, these people have no honor. That's really what it boils down to. Not only will they not blame those responsible, they will turn around and point to a segment of the population that they don't like and say they are responsible. Are we surprised? No, of course not. Let's see what else this idiot has to say.
We will not have the same economic strength that we have right now. We won't have the same army that we have right now. And when we understand the threats Israel is facing, if Israel cannot be strong economically and cannot have a strong army, then Israel cannot be. And therefore, I understand that this is an existential issue. And on existential issues, from day one, I decided that I'll put a red line. And even if my party goes the other way, then I'll make it very clear that I'm going to put a red line and say that political considerations can be the reason we say okay to existential threats. We're looking at the...
Yikes. How many takes did it take him to get that out? My goodness. Wow. Wow. That was amazingly embarrassing. But it just goes to show what we have in the parliament. The parliament is simply filled with Israel Last low IQ idiots who will blame every single person under the sun except for America for our problems. He says, well, we're facing an economic problem. How much are all these wars costing us? How much are all these wars actually costing us? Deploying all of these soldiers day after day, you're paying reservists, you have tanks going out. This is not, oh, well, we're just going to do this for a few days and win. This is going on and on and on and on. Was Gaza, was Iran, which is still going on, Gaza's still going on, Lebanon. These wars are costing Israel a humongous amount of money. Money that Israel could invest in its startup ecosystem. Money that would be well spent, much better spent. But we cannot finish these wars. Why? Why? Now, Dan Iluz would tell you it's because of the Haredim. They're the problem. No, no, no. The problem is America. It's very simple. Israel, Marco will tell you, Israel's not at war with Lebanon. We're not at war with Gaza. We're not at war with Iran. We're not at war with anybody. We're not at war with anybody. Yes, we're fighting 3 countries at the same time still, but he would tell you we're not at war with anybody. Look, the games that we are being forced to play by America is what's costing our economy. That's what's costing our military. Dan Iluz, if you're concerned about the military and the economy, there is only one answer. And the answer is America must go.